Tonight, Rays baseball continues from Tropicana Field. This will be the middle game of the series between the Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Rays have gained 3 games on first place Boston in the last 3 days. They're now 1 game back of Boston going into play today in the American League East. And they're a half game up in the wild card over Oakland, 4 in front of Baltimore. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you looking in tonight. Well, the Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays go at it. The Rays, after losing 6 straight, by the way, their longest losing streak dating back 2.5 years, have won 3 in a row. We've had dramatic moments, but the Rays also stress process, moving the baseball around, as Joe Madden says, and we've had a little of all of that.
Well, and what Joe Madden, what he means by moving the baseball around, is that allows the offense to then become swarmy, and that's what we've seen starting on Wednesday night. The big triple by Zobrist, the base hit, great at-bat by Joyce, of course the Longoria double, and with the bases loaded, Bourgeois is going to walk it off. It's just guys putting at-bats together back to back to back. It hasn't been a whole lot of blast, big home runs, but it has been guys locking it in each and every at-bat, especially when the team has gotten down to crunch time, and they're getting it done in a big way. In fact, this right here, last night's game off R.A. Dickey, nice job by Escobar just to move this ball over to the right side, get Loney in, doesn't try to do too much. Of course, Longoria is going to acknowledge that, and then with 2 outs, Sam Fuld comes through with the big hit. So that's what it's been. It's been guys getting into tough spots, locking it in, putting a good at-bat on the pitcher, and more times than not, the last 3 nights anyway, the Rays have had success with it.
Yeah, 2 walk-offs in the last 3. Jose Lobaton, the big star in the game last night, but Escobar also very good last night. He's been good, very good since the All-Star break. In fact, he's hitting over 300 since the break, and Tom Callis takes a closer look at the Rays shortstop when we return.
inside for a little Rays baseball. The Blue Jays and the Rays, middle game of this 3-game series from Tropicana Field. Our AT&T Twitter poll question of the night involves defense, the toughest defensive position in baseball. What do you have? Hashtag TV1 first base. James Loney doing a nice job over there. Hashtag TV2 the catcher. Hashtag TV3 third base. Or hashtag TV4 shortstop. Tweet your votes today to @SunSportsRays, the toughest defensive position in baseball. The Rays have guys that make it look easy, as you see Yunel Escobar, Evan Longoria, and others in that video clip. Escobar is one of those guys, he plays with a certain style, and sometimes people assume because he does that, he wants the attention himself. Just the way he kind of grew up playing the game of baseball, and lately he's been doing everything, offensively and defensively. And he does have some flash, there's no doubt about it. Escobar likes to play with that little spice. Watch this play in Boston. One of the best you'll see in a long time by a Rays defensive player. And even then when he catches the line drive. But hitting-wise, amongst shortstops who have played 20 games since the All-Star break, he has the highest batting average, hitting over 300. Yesterday, giving himself up on that ground out and clapping along the way. Here's Joe Madden about Escobar being a team player.
I've seen him as nothing but a very good team player with us. You know, the other stuff, the flamboyant or whatever you want to call it, that's the kind of a player he is, and that's the one thing I did not want to take away from him. I thought to attempt to subtract that from him, you really are not going to get the baseball player you expected. That's who he is. That's how he processes the day. I see nothing wrong with it. I would imagine, again, from the other side, on occasion it might rub wrong, but then once you have him with you, you understand it, you appreciate it.
He has been a lot of fun to watch this year. Yunel Escobar and the Tampa Bay Rays getting ready for baseball against Escobar's former team, the Toronto Blue Jays. Jason Bourgeois will lead things off for the Rays against Jay Happ. We'll have the first pitch in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Roberto Hernandez on the mound for Tampa Bay.
Bourgeois delivered his first Rays hit in walk-off style. For win number 2, Alex Cobb returned to the mound, and Evan Longoria returned to form. Last night, more magical moments. And he shoots it up the right field line. That ball is fair, will roll into the corner. Foley will wave him around, and Lobaton wins it for the Rays. Who will be tonight's hero? As multifaceted as this team is, there are always a number of candidates to stand out and lead the Rays to victory. Tonight, in the middle game of this series against the Toronto Blue Jays, the Rays begin a game back in the American League East, trailing the Boston Red Sox. Let's take a quick look at the starting lineup for the Blue Jays, brought to you by Sweet Bay Supermarket. Rajai Davis is in there leading off, followed by Myceres Stewart and Jose Bautista hitting third. Edwin Encarnacion, Adam Lind, Brett Laurie at third, hits sixth in front of J.P. Arancibia. Mark DeRosa eighth, and Anthony Ghost, the center fielder, bats ninth.
Taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays, going to be right-hander Roberto Hernandez. Those season numbers brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
And the first pitch of this game, presented by Pinch a Penny, is a fastball inside. We are underway.
I don't know, Dwayne, if there was a better breakdown of a pitcher starting off a game than what I just gave you.
Right to the point. One ball, one strike. Down to third, sharply hit. Longoria gloves and throws. Davis out number one.
Well, and that's a guy, again, we talked last night about Jose Reyes, keeping him off base for what he can do. Same thing with Rajai Davis. And a hard hit ball here. Nice job by Evan Longoria to go down, get it, make the throw. Davis, another guy, very good on the base pass, stolen base threat, second in the league.
Yeah, and he doesn't play every day. And he's still second in the league in steals.
It's shocking. Highest success rate in the American League.
First pitch to Asturias is in there, a strike, a slider. Asturias is hitting .238. And as usual, the key for Roberto Hernandez is to keep the ball down.
He wants to use his defense. He's got one of the best, if not the best, infield defenses in all of baseball. And his game plan is working from just the top of the bottom of the quad, basically, knees, shins, try to get these guys to pound the ball into the ground and use that defense.
2-1.
The key is there's that fine line where hitters off of him, if they see the ball coming out of the hand low, they're going to take it. But he's got to present it as a strike and let the sinking action take it down below the zone or to the bottom of the zone.
It's now 2-2. Let's take a look at the location of this pitch. That's what you're talking about.
A lot of outs come down there.
And the count is full to Asturias.
It's not that much different, really, than how you would face a guy like R.A. Dickey. You gave the cliche, see it high, let it fly, see it low, let it go. That's exactly the way you're going to go after Roberto Hernandez.
The ground ball, backhanded by Escobar. Long, strong throw to get Asturias. Two gone.
Yeah, that was a nice play by Escobar. He realized he did have to move to his right about a step and a half, but he got there quick enough that he was able to set his feet and then show off the arm with a bullet to Loney. A little off balance on that jumper. Rattled.
Going to square up. Nice job, boy. He has been very good at shortstop and at the plate as well. Shift on now for Jose Bautista. First pitch is a strike.
And apparently from anywhere in the gym.
In the corner, beyond the three-point stripe.
He doesn't have just a spot.
1-1 to count on Bautista. The Rays overloading the left side. Outfield not so much, but the infield with the distinct shift on. 1-2.
Well, now, even as you get to this 1-2 count, they've now taken Ben Zobrist and put him directly behind second base.
And that's the thing about the Rays' defensive setups. They're refined to play counts, not only hitters, but counts. A long one to left, and there's no doubt about that one. He parked that one deep into the seats and left. His 28th home run of the year.
An absolute moonshot by Jose Bautista on a rolling slider here by Hernandez. That ball was a cement mixer. It had no break to it. Those are the pitches I've been a party to many of them. When they leave your hand, you already know the result. You don't even have to wait for it. It comes out and you're just like 1-0.
So a long home run off the bat of Jose Bautista. And here's Edwin Encarnacion. Changeup thrown into the dirt. And the Blue Jays second in the league in home runs. They've hit 147 on the year. 1-1 to count to Encarnacion. But they'd hit only one over the last 6 games until Bautista just unloaded.
That's got to be their longest drought of the season.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Although it's, I'll tell you what, for as aggressive as they are, you said second in the league in home runs, they still, that's not the only way that they score runs. They're, what, 4th?
And stolen bases.
Stolen bases with 88. Of course, Davis, a big part of that with 35. But they are not one-dimensional by any stretch.
The 21st home run given up by Roberto Hernandez, and that home run rate higher than at any other time in his career. Bobbled by Escobar, retrieves and throws, and Encarnacion, who was not exactly busting it down the line, is thrown out. 1 run on the Bautista homer. Rays coming in to hit. Inning. Let's take a look at the lineup brought to you by Sweet Base Supermarket. Jason Bourgeois is going to lead off for the Rays. Then Will Meyer, the DH, hitting second in front of Evan Longoria. Ben Zobrist in the cleanup spot. Then Yunel Escobar. James Loney hits 6th. John Rodriguez in right field hitting 7th. Jose Molina and then Sam Cole.
Jay Happ taking the mound tonight for the Toronto Blue Jays, making his 10th start of the season.
First pitch to Bourgeois, inside, 1-0.
Again, the insight. Taking you right inside the story, Dwayne.
You've never been so direct and incisive. In nanoseconds. High foul, out of play. So the count goes to 1-1.
Yeah, and Happ now, this is his 3rd start. Obviously, coming back where he was hit in the head by a line drive.
Yeah, that was May the 7th.
May the 7th, yeah, and he came back. It took 3 months not only that injury, also hurt his knee.
Really had more to do with that knee.
Yep.
Somehow he escaped a concussion.
That was shocking.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yep. He's coming off a very nice outing. His last time out against the Oakland A's, 7 innings, 1 earned run.
Schwab pops it, foul ball right side, Encarnacion with a basket catch. And that's the first out here in the bottom of the first for the Rays. We're joined by Orestes Destrada down there in the camera well. You situated and comfortable?
I am. Unfortunately, it was uncomfortable watching Joe the Baptist, Jose Bautista hit this from ground level. I had a nice view of it just soar completely out of there. And later on, I wanted to pose a question to BA about a particular pitch that maybe a guy is struggling with, and at what point do you just decide to shelve it? And obviously talking about Roberto Hernandez's slider.
Here's Will Myers. The pitch to him is a strike.
I'll tell you what, I had that problem. I shelved it.
About shelving?
Early, yes. You got to pick your spots with it if you're going to stay with it.
Myers hits one deep to right and back on the track. Bautista, a couple steps from the wall, makes the catch on that one. 2 gone.
Yeah, that you know, when I was starting, it was fastball, changeup, and I never really had a consistent breaking ball. And I screwed around with the curveball, you know, a slider, went with kind of a cutter hybrid from time to time. And you know, I don't know, but you're right. When you look at Roberto Hernandez, you have a lot to like with the fastball, the good sinking action down in the zone. The changeup is a pitch that he's using. It's a good pitch, and he's using it more this year than he has at any point in his career, and for good reason. It's been very good, but absolutely right on the slider. We've seen that pitch very inconsistent, a lot of rolling, and not a lot of sharpness to it. You know, it doesn't have that late break. It just kind of, it's almost as like the spin is not tight enough, and it kind of just rolls and wanders in there. And if it's not perfectly located, you know, these hitters get a very good look at it.
BA, you saw him in his heyday in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Great sinker.
Yeah.
Obviously, very consistent with that. Longoria takes it into right. Bautista's there for that. So it's a 1-2-3 bottom of the first, and we'll continue as we move into the second here. 1-0 at the end of an inning. Toronto. Available in Spanish via SAP. Brought to you by Coventry Healthcare, Florida. Adam Lind will open the second. Lind, Laurie, and then Aaron Sebia coming up for the Blue Jays against Roberto Hernandez, who was touched for the home run in the top half of the first. And the pitch to Lind misses. A ball, no strikes. Talking about his selection of pitches, BA, you saw him when he was so good in Cleveland, and the sinker was an outstanding pitch, but he also threw the slider then a lot more than the change. It was basically sinker and slider. So the question is, now, do you throw that pitch away, or is it not as good because he's throwing it less already and going more with the changeup? What do you do in those cases?
Well, that's what you don't know. Has the pitch regressed? I remember, like you said, that sinker slider, that slider was sharp. It was sharp. It was late. It had a sweeping action to it. It was a very nasty pitch. And you know, obviously, you've got to do something a little bit different. And that might be involving warm-ups, because if you're not going to use it as much, and it clearly, as far as usage, pitch usage, has become his third option. So maybe when you go out for your 8 warm-up pitches, you know, the first couple to get your arm loose, throw a changeup or 2, and then jump on a couple sliders to get a good feel for the aggressive slider. And then your last fastball to throw it down. You know, maybe you start to mess with things that way to try to get a feel for it, because you know you love the fastball changeup combo.
Absolutely, the Rays have liked that since the spring. We talked about that before. Jim Hickey talked about early in the spring how good the changeup was. So that's been the second pitch behind essentially the sinker. But that slider was a good pitch for him in Cleveland. So he was a 19-game winner.
Yeah. I mean, he was outstanding. That's right. And so, you know, maybe it's just it has regressed. You lose a feel for it.
Hard hit ball. Nice play by Zobrist. And they get him at first. Lynn, the first out here in the second inning.
But the one thing that we can say, and it's not just tonight, it's not the same slider that he had, you know, a few years ago. There's no question about that. But yet the changeup is better. You know, you just got to pick your spots with that pitch, and, you know, and understand what you're trying to do with it. You know, if you're going to try to get Bautista out in front on a ball down and away, then you really have to tell yourself, I just can't throw this in there with good break. I need to place this ball. I need to start it outer third and run it off. And, you know, I think he's perfectly capable of doing that. That's the thing when you go back to this game of adjustments. And that's, you know, you got to figure that out yourself. You're talking, you got a lot of good minds down there. Jim Hickey, starting with your pitching coach.
Well, he's already diminished the use of the slider. He's throwing it about 10% of the time, really.
Right.
And maybe it is a case of if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah. Well, you say that about a fastball. You could say that about a breaking pitch, too, because that's a field pitch. I mean, whether it's a slider or a curveball, that's still an off-speed delivery.
Zobrist handles this chopper. Glory is out number 2. 2 gone. So, Rustis, what do you make of all that? Well, you started this.
I did start it, didn't I? And I'm glad I did, because this is very important. And here's, as a hitter, here's what I make of it. And as the guy that has followed, you know, the aforementioned Fausto Carmona back in the day, now Roberto Hernandez, here's the big difference that I see, BA, and you played with him. The fastball was 97 miles an hour. The slider was probably 92, 93. I see a drop in velocity. A drop in velocity when you don't have that arm speed and that velocity, then all of a sudden your slider becomes flat, and then all of a sudden it never was a good slider unless it was hard. And, you know, just movement, a little bit of movement in 93, 94 is still pretty nasty.
Just off the glove of Loney and into right field. Aaron Sevilla is aboard with a base hit. So, Rustis, your take is that he should just shelve that slider?
Well, I think it's a very dangerous pitch, as B.A. alluded to very well, to righties. And if you do not put that baby down and away to a dangerous righty hitter, and again, you also have to pick your spot as to who you throw it to. The changeup has been, you know, a good pitch. I think he should, you know, you can't just be a 1 or 2 pitch pitcher as a starter. I mean, you know, you said that's Doc Gooden back in the day. He's the only guy that could throw 2 pitches and get away with it. You got to have at least 3. So you got a 4-seamer, a 2-seamer, and then a really good changeup like that one right there. I kind of just throw that pitch less, and or really try to get him to chase with that pitch, but not trying to throw it for a strike.
Well, right now he's throwing the 2-seamer a little over 55% of the time, and the changeup about 30% of the time. That slider around 10, and very seldom do you see the 4-seamer.
I'd like to see that one a little bit more. BA, what do you think about that pitch?
Well, you know what? If he sets it up well, I mean, that certainly is a pitch, and we've seen him be able to command the ball to both sides of the plate. But yeah, you could certainly use that four-seamer, come shoot it into the guy's hands, back him off the plate before you go back to the movement. But at the end of the day, his moneymaker is going to be that sinker. It's going to be that late action down in the zone, to go along with the changeup. And I think that what you were talking about with the lack of velocity, and so the pitch has started to become more ordinary, not as quite as tight with the spin, and not as sharp of a break. I think that's maybe something that the Rays saw and why they were so high on that changeup. They said, listen, the guy's got a good changeup, and he's going to have to use it more now that he's no longer in the mid-90s. He's now down, 91, 92 in that range. Arm speed not quite the same, so the changeup's going to take on a more prominent role. But you're right about needing more than just two pitches. It's about picking your spots with that slider. The right hitter, the right spot.
DeRosa with the base hit to left, men at first and second. And Anthony Gose is in there. Well, it would seem to me the other thing is, you and I talked about it right at the beginning. He's got to keep the ball down. When he gets the ball up, he gets hurt.
Yeah.
We see that consistently. So even the sinker, that's the two-seamer's got to be down.
Yeah, it does. The problem is if it's like, again, it's that fine line. It's if you pitch down, hitters are going to be, taught, and they're going to be disciplined enough, most of them, that if they see the ball down out of the hand, they're going to take it. They're going to try to take it unless until you get to two strikes, because you figure with his late action, if it's starting down, it's going to finish further down. I'm telling you, it's the same way that you would view a knuckleball. And if they see one elevated, you tell me they're coming out of their chutes. So he's got to start that pitch, mid-thigh, a little bit further down the net, and let that action take it down to the knees. And then you'll start to get the swings. Now, when we've seen him do that early and get ahead, now they're more apt to widen their zone and start to chase that sinker that's now running below the zone, and it comes out of his hand low.
Opposing lineups have seen him enough to know by now that they'll wait him out unless he starts to see that action early on that pitch.
Yep.
And then it's a different story.
Yep. When he pitches ahead and can locate down, now guys will start to chase that ball below the zone, get the ball off the end of the bat. But more times than not, they are up there with the idea of, we know we're going to see a sinker. Let's see it up in the zone. And like you said, we'll wait him out.
Yeah. And they're waiting him out when it's about 90 or 91.
Yeah.
And it's up.
Yep. And those are the ones that, the guys have not missed. But at the same time, we've seen him be able to get into those grooves where he's able to pound the ball down in the zone consistently, and he's sawed through some lineups with ease. Like that.
Upper right side. That's going to stay fair or foul? That's a foul ball. Herman Wendelstedt, the first base umpire, behind the bag, made the call. That's a close call indeed.
It's a close call. He's behind the bag. He's also behind James Loney. So he's being screened out by James Loney. To see this ball hit right here.
That's actually a good call.
It does look from that angle. It takes a little sidewinder hit, and you see right there Wendelstedt looking between Loney's legs. If Loney doesn't feel that ball's probably feet foul.
Right.
The way that it bounded.
And you could see on the replay clearly that it was foul, that his big first baseman's mitt was in foul territory.
The irony there is that if Loney's both his feet are in fair ground and he backhands it and catches that ball like that, maybe he gets the call, maybe, of it being fair, even though he's going to have a more clearer shot. But with one of the foot, almost both, definitely one of his foot was on the foul side. It definitely, you don't get that call.
Yeah. As long as the ball's in foul territory, it doesn't make any difference where your feet are.
Yeah, I know, but I've seen umpires get deked by that a little bit, believe it or not.
Ball 3 and the count is full.
It's almost like trying to steal it, at home plate with a strike, and you kind of try to bring it back, and if it's right on the line, some umpire might say, oh yeah, he's standing fair, and it may happen. But hey, next year we'll have we'll have instant replay.
Yeah, won't that be?
That's gonna be a blast.
3-2 and a foul ball again. So Aaron Sebia will go back to second. DeRosa at first, and they'll do that again with a full count and 2 outs. Top of the second inning. Blue Jays with a run on the long home run by Jose Bautista in the first. This will be the ninth pitch of this at bat. Anthony goes. He lifts it into left center. Bourgeois with some speed gets back there in front of the track, making the catch. Blue Jays lead 2. Rays coming in to hit in the bottom of the second, down by a run. The second inning in the game tonight and all season long. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Ben Zobrist hitting cleanup again tonight for the Rays. Leads off against Jay Happ. Zobrist, Escobar, and Loney. Pitch is upstairs. Ball, no strikes. Thirty-year-old southpaw. The strike into Ben. Ben 3 of 5 against him lifetime with a couple walks. So a nice trend there for Zobrist in the head-to-head match.
And you would think with a guy like Jay Happ, tall, lanky, lefty, driving the ball downhill, high ground ball rate. Wrong. One of the lowest you'll see, especially this year. He's under 50% for his career, but this year just 42%. Fly ball pitcher. Extreme.
Down to third. Laurie comes up throwing. So that is the first out here in the second inning. The Rays making a roster move with Luke Scott, who had some back spasms. He's going to go on the DL, and Brandon Gomes has been reinstated from the 60-day DL.
We got a full bullpen, I'll tell you that much. Look at that. You'd have 2 rows now.
And there's Brandon Gomes in the front row.
Nice to see him back.
Sure is. They had to activate him just to even the lefty-righty ratio in the bullpen. A little heavy on the left side down there.
Too much tilt.
All those lefties make it interesting. Well, pitch fouled out of play.
Will not argue with that, Dwayne.
No, that's part of the recipe. Escobar over 300 since the All-Star break. Behind in the count right now, 1-2. Triple and a run scored last night in the third, then a walk in the ninth inning and was tripled home by Lobaton. Shortstop this time. Stirs doing Encarnacion.
Yeah, just as soon as you reference the fact that he's a fly ball pitcher, and especially after the 3 outs in the first inning, perfect timing. 2 ground ball outs for half. How about Escobar, though? You saw that batting average at 260, and the work that he has had to do to get it there. Now, you remember mid-April, he was below 100. And to get it to 260, he's hit about, well, 280 plus the last 4 months to get it there.
You know, Joe Madden from spring training said this guy could be a Gold Glove shortstop. He right now, if I'm not mistaken, he leads shortstops in fielding percentage right now.
He absolutely does, especially with Johnny Peralta was at 991.
Yep.
I believe Escobar at 989. But here's the difference: Peralta now gone because of the PED scandal, so he's no longer a factor. But I'll guarantee you that he doesn't cover anywhere close to the ground
Absolutely.
that Yunel Escobar
Yeah, you're right
covers.
about that.
So he may have a higher field percentage, but this guy is getting to way more balls in deeper spots. That's the thing. His zone efficiency rating is off the chart. At one point, just recently, it was the best in baseball. So not only does he not make errors, but he gets to more than most.
I spoke with him about his defense just yesterday, guys, and he wants to break that 53-game streak that he set again this year. He wants to try to keep it going.
It's a ground ball again off the bat of Loney. DeRosa throws him out, so 3 ground balls spread around the infield there. Through 2, 1-0 Toronto.
With us right now, we have Tiffany Ficus to my left. She's the executive director of the Hart Gallery in Pinellas and Pasco counties. We also have Connie Going to my right. She is the assistant director of adoptions for Eckerd Community Alternatives. We'll start with you, Tiffany. Tell us basically about Hart Gallery and what you guys trying to accomplish.
Well, the Hart Gallery was created to raise awareness about the children that are in our community that are available for adoption. There's about 150 kids at any time that are available for adoption, kids from our area, and this is to promote awareness about them and specifically the older children, special needs kids, and sibling groups, the kids that need a little extra help because they need forever families.
No doubt about it. Tiffany, with the director of the Hart Gallery, a bunt base hit here by Rajai Davis to start off the inning. And Connie, when you talk about, there's a thing you guys call Mission Possible. Tell us what the significance is with that.
Mission Possible is never giving up. It's never letting these kids think that they can age out of foster care at 18 without a family, that everyone deserves that. It's a human right. And we're not going to give up until we find these children who have been waiting over 6 to 10 years, some of them, for a family.
So Mission Possible, 6 to 10 years, they are finding adoptive homes.
We are going to do it. We average over 300 adoptions a year in Pinellas and Pasco. These are children who don't have a family right now. They're in group homes, they are in foster homes, and they need a family.
Runner on the move, and Molina has to eat it there as Rajai Davis goes in head first with a stolen base. Runner on second base with nobody out. Tiffany, tell us about the Heart Gallery traveling program that we saw here at Tropicana Field.
So we feature the stories and the pictures of these children, and the gallery rotates all around the county. Right now we've got one panel here at Tropicana Field. We go to churches, we go to malls, we go to museums, wherever you want, to tell the story of these kids. So they're not just, oh, there's a statistic of these children. These are living, breathing children, and we get to see them grow up, and we get to hear about them and learn about them, and they become real. And so we try to find families for them.
Yeah, it was such a great connection when Jamie and James Shields and Ryan Shields were here, and we missed them tremendously, but they kind of put the Heart Gallery and the Rays and everything on the map. And the combination continues, the combination of the Rays and the Heart Gallery. Tiffany, Connie, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Guys, back to you.
Thank you very much. Meanwhile, Davis with a bunt and a stolen base. 1-2 the count on Myceres Stures. And he taps it foul up the right side.
And that action that was missed is what scares you about this lineup. You know about the power, but when you get the speed of Davis, and he was able to push that bunt, get it by Roberto Hernandez. Now he's a threat on base. Hernandez has given up a number of stolen bases, 16 out of 20, now 17 out of 21. You immediately get that runner into scoring position.
Yeah, the Rays defense could not do a thing with that bunt.
See, that's an example of one of those pitches. That's not a bad changeup by Roberto Hernandez, but did you see his Turris just follow it down? He saw that ball out of the hand down and just knows the action is going to take it even further down. So you just give a good look at it. You know it's not going to be a pitch that you need to contend with. You need to present that ball as a strike and let it do its thing.
Chop to the right side. Pull closed by Zobrist. And the toss to first in time, but Davis goes to third. He'll be there with one out.
And that's a productive out by his Turris. At the very minimum, you want to accomplish what he did. Love to get that base hit and drive him in, but you're going to make an out and move him to third with less than 2 with the big boppers coming up.
Guys, that was, I mean, we're getting so used to Zobrist's play at second base. That was not an easy short little hop and a twist and a throw. He's playing phenomenal. We talk about shortstop. The shortstop second base combination may be two of the best in the game right now.
Bautista with a big swing, and he fouls it back. There's a strike.
Well, what it made it more difficult is he had to go a long way. You're right, a little short hop there. You take that for granted, but that's some nifty little footwork to be able to spin, throw on the money. And you're right, the second shortstop combination with Zobrist and Escobar has been awesome, and it's coincided with the increased play out there of Ben Zobrist. So often being moved around, you know, he has been out at second base and stuck there for quite a while, and really is not only
Bautista hit by that pitch. So he'll head to first, setting up men at first and third. There was no getting away from that pitch.
Well, we see Roberto Hernandez hit a number of guys this year. That ball just takes off on him, trying to go in. And
it's the 11th batter he's hit this year, and most of them are just like that. That pitch takes off.
That hand
just
opens
follows
up.
The hitter.
Yeah, it's like it's got a tracking beam. You see, he's so cognizant. He's trying to throw that, that ball and have that movement in towards the right-handed hitter. Knows he can't throw that ball out over the middle of the plate. He's going to get hurt on it. So if you're just a little bit off with your release point with his movement, it just takes off on you.
Encarnacion, nice scoop right there by Molina. runners at first and third.
Just go down with a little backhand scoop. Very fortunate that that was clean. If not, you're looking at a run there for the Blue Jays.
Inside, 2-0. Rajah Davis bunting his way on. That's something the Blue Jays would like to see him do a little more of because of his great speed. As a right-handed hitter even, I mean, he can get to first base in a hurry, and he put down a perfect bunt to start this inning. Little tap toward third, barehanded by Longoria, has to go to first. Davis crosses the plate. Encarnacion picks up the run batted in to make it 2-0.
A nice play by Evan Longoria, and Encarnacion. So often you're talking about his hard contact and driving runs in. This right here, very soft. In fact, any harder, you may have an inning-ending double play.
Now, Blue Jays have not gotten the ball out of the infield, and they have a run. That's what that leadoff bunt and that steal will do for you, with speed in the leadoff spot. So Davis has scored. 91st run batted in for Encarnacion. And Adam Lynn and his left-handed bat will be walked intentionally with first base open.
Well, this is playing to your strengths. This is Joe Madden making the decision. Brett Lawrie has been extremely hot for the Blue Jays, but he's looking at his pitcher and his numbers and saying, you know what, coming into play, lefties are hitting .310 off of Roberto Hernandez with 15 of the 20 home runs, and obviously 15 to 21 now.
Yeah.
So he's playing those odds, and I want him on the righty.
And Lynn came into this game 5 out of 13 with 2 home runs off Hernandez. So first base open, we'll gladly give him that base. Now Brett Lawrie, who has been hot since the All-Star break, grounded out his first time. Ground ball headed into left and out of the reach of Escobar. Picked up by Bourgeois. The throw is going to come to the plate, but not in time. Bautista scores, and the Blue Jays make it 3-0. Lawrie wasting a little time. Found the hole between short and third to drive in the run.
Well, Brett Lawrie, he's been hot. He sees a pitch. Doesn't have that good down movement, trying to go away about thigh high and out over the plate. Just puts a good swing on it, finds a hole. That's the frustrating thing about that is, you know, a couple of feet one way or the other.
We were talking about pitch selection and whether Roberto should maybe drop that slider. Joe Madden talks about pitch execution.
Yeah.
And that last pitch there, a pretty good example of that.
Well, he's trying to go away and just didn't get there.
Yeah.
You know, it may have started away, but his movement.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The movement, and it wasn't the good down sink. It just kind of faded back to the middle of the plate. That allowed Lawrie to get around it and find a hole.
Fly ball to right. Sean Rodriguez there. So Madden's take on it is that it's execution. 2-run score. It's 3-0 Toronto. Sun Sports is brought to you by Just for Men Mustache and Beard, Toyota, let's go places, by Coventry Healthcare, coverage so you can keep living the life you want. Go live, we've got you covered. And by Checkers, feast on. Home half of inning 3 coming up from Tropicana Field. The Rays find themselves down by 3 runs, 3-0. Sean Rodriguez leads off against Jay Happ. And the pitch is a strike. Rodriguez, Molina, and then Fold. One and one. Sean starting the day at 260 overall, 258 against lefties. In fact, the Rays 24-16 in games started by left-handers this year, and they're hitting .282. There's a nice bunt. Well done by Rodriguez. It's going to roll, though, and it is just foul. Wow, how about that? Laurie had no chance. He let it roll, and just before it got to the bag, fair all the way until then.
I mean, this was beautiful. Beautiful. When you see it starting to curl off the lip, come on. I mean, by what? A quarter of an inch?
I mean, it could not have missed the corner of the bag by any more than that.
Yeah.
And then Greg Gibson just rubbed salt right into that wound. He was so emphatic with the call.
And Brett Laurie was loving every minute of it, right. Letting everybody know he was doing the same thing.
Exactly right. What a shame. 2-2. Here's another look. Look how close this is. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
The break on that ball, almost like a golf green, that you're trying to putt it that way to get the break to the left and get it in the hole, but you missed the putt.
Yeah, that started out as a perfect bunt. Next, and then Fold. A left-hander, Happ, out of Northwestern University. It's from Peru, Illinois. It goes by J period A period. It's not J.A. Happ. It's J. Happ.
I made that mistake.
He'll let you know that.
Yeah, I made that mistake as a novice.
It's a unique feature. Something that you don't think necessarily would be that uncommon because he's left-handed.
That is very true.
It's just his little left-handed slant on things. J. Happ. Again, it goes back to, that's a nice mix here. The left-hander involved.
Listen, you need people on the earth to keep it interesting.
That's right. That's right.
That's it.
Full count. Rodriguez has extended this at bat. This is the 10th pitch coming. Into center field. That's going to hang up, though, and that is out number 1. Ghost with the grab. So a 10 pitch at bat after nearly bunting his way on, only to have it go just foul. Jose Molina makes his way to the plate. VA, you think J. Happ had any second thoughts when he went to this mound again? Because it was a very scary moment back in May.
You know what? I think it was probably similar to Alex Cobb, because Alex did the same thing. And, J. Happ obviously went through the rehab process, had, some starts out in the minor leagues to get ready, and now the third start back. I think that those thoughts are well beyond him at this point. I mean, you're never going to forget something like that.
but to be able to continue to perform at this level against these types of hitters, you definitely cannot have it on your mind when you go out there. You understand, and every pitcher does, that that's a risk you take. But I think that he came into this start like any other. Maybe at first, oh, here I am back at the scene of the crime. But you lock it in and go right to work.
Molina fouls it out of play, and he had the small fracture behind his left ear and a contusion. But no concussion. And the knee is what kept him out more than anything all that time.
The one thing that he may have thought about is the first time that Desmond Jennings would have stepped into the box.
Yep.
I think that helps too. Maybe just that very first pitch, but you're definitely going to think about it when the guy that hit the ball is standing up there at the plate in the same scenario.
Yeah, I'll ask you as a pitcher, there's obviously a pitcher too that is more likely to get hit up the middle. A lefty would be a sinking fastball, a changeup. Do you think, speaking of that, oh my, hopefully they're not hurt. And that came my way, guys. But
yeah, well, duck, get ready.
No, I had no chance on that one. That was like, imagine how pitchers feel. Is there a potential for that? I mean, I can agree that they don't really think about, the actual it happening again. But that one little pitch in that lower quadrant that you kind of stay away from.
You know what? I'll give you one example, Orestes, along those lines. I got hit. I had a back-to-back start situation coming up with the Cubs. And in Chicago, I got hit with a line drive. It's the hardest I've ever been hit. Henry Rodriguez squared up a fastball, middle of the plate, hit me just above my elbow on my left arm. And, I mean, it absolutely, it was the hardest I've ever been hit by far. Well, I came up against him 5 days later. And I'll tell you what you end up doing is when you're going to go with that fastball down and away. I remember the first time he stood in the box and you're going to get a fastball down and away. It's like you had better get extension and get the ball down and away. It really puts into perspective, hit your spots. Quit leaving pitches in the middle of the plate.
Great incentive.
Yes.
Nice goal.
I'm not kidding you.
Molina popping out here to DeRosa. 2 gone. And here's Sam Fold. Pitch is high to Sam. Fold up in the count, 1-0. It's going to be a strike, 1-1. Rays have fared well against lefty pitching this year, and they fared well when they've sent left-handed hitters up there against left-handed pitchers. Sam now down in the count. Sam Fold, one of those guys. Look at the Toyota trend there. Highest average by left-handed hitters against left-handed pitchers. The Rays hitting .301, second only to Kansas City. And Sam Fold is hitting .372 against left-handed pitching.
And you just find that odd. Not that he's not capable of doing that, but .372 against the lefties and way down against the righties.
They had a hit here the other night, Thursday, in the Seattle series off Joe Saunders. In fact, he led off that 4-run fifth with a base hit.
Yep.
Started that rally.
And even, I heard Joe Madden was asked about that, about his batting average against righties, and he just said, yeah, that's weird. That's it. I don't get it. Next.
Yeah, well, maybe he's been around Will Myers long enough to go. Stupid.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Snake.
Weird.
Don't like it.
Cut the miss this time. Fold out on strikes. 9 in a row. Retired by half. To start this game, we go to the 4th. 3-0 Toronto.
Hendrick in the background right there. That was the combination that was working out before the game today. Desmond was doing most of the running because George Hendrick was hitting the fly balls and Ron Porterfield was observing. Before batting practice today, right around 3:40 is the first pitch to Mark DeRosa is taken for a ball. Desmond Jennings working out in the outfield, part of his recovery process, coming back from that little tip of the finger fracture there on the left hand. Tried out a couple of gloves to make sure he was comfortable catching the baseball. Also took some swings on the field as well as DeRosa sends a fly ball. Foul territory. Sean Rodriguez can't quite catch up with it. Guys, here's the plan. Jennings said he felt pretty good. He still feels it a little bit, but not much. So he's going to go to Port Charlotte, Florida tomorrow, play a game for the Charlotte Stone Crabs at 5:30. And if all goes well in that game, he'll join the Rays in Baltimore on Monday. Back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you. Yeah, and I would imagine that the concern about playing defense on that would be just jarring that because, and Orestes, this might be a good question for you. I would think that finger would come into play much more when he tried to grip the bat.
No doubt about it.
DeRosa chopping it to short. Escobar, yeah, you don't want to jar that when you're trying to catch a fly ball because you're going to protect that as much as you can so you can hit.
Yeah, it's the hands for a hitter, obviously that's your tool, and the knuckle issue not as bad as actual hand injuries where the hamate bone and areas like that, but still extremely annoying. That is his pull hand. That's his bottom hand, which is a very, very important part, the key part for me. Some guys tend to be top hand hitters, but I believe it's the bottom hand that really drives everything your top hand guides. So you want to be as healthy as possible.
So we'll see when the club goes on the road. They'll evaluate his appearance tomorrow at the Charlotte club down at Port Charlotte. And we'll go from there. Nice to have him back healthy as soon as possible.
I wanted to make another point, because it's interesting. We're talking about the velocity lost, maybe upwards of 4 or 5 miles an hour, which is a big difference in today's game for Roberto Hernandez. But still, at 91, 92, you guys touched on this the other day, how pitchers have gotten to the point where that's just like mediocre now. 91, 92. Now you get 95, 96, especially bullpen specialists. Everybody's throwing super hard. And I think the combination for the hitters is that they've had to be quicker, and they've made them quicker with the bats that they use now. Great strikeout right there.
Pitch on the inside corner, and Ghost caught looking. Out number 2 here in the 4th.
Great front door two-seamer. That ball just runs back just a little bit, catches that inside corner. That's what it's designed to do. Not even elicit a swing.
First strikeout for Roberto Hernandez. 2 up, 2 down. We go back to the top of the order. Rajah Davis, who started the 2-run third with the bunt single, chops this one to short. Escobar throws him out. 1-2-3 go the Blue Jays. Bottom of the 4th coming. It's 3-0 Toronto.
offensively and defensively, Jose Lobaton. And who else to show him some love than his starter, Jeremy Hellickson. He sent out this tweet today. Good win last night. My little Oso, Jose Lobaton, earned his ice cream. Hashtag brick wall. And if you're wondering, and I know you are, Oso means bear in Spanish. So Jeremy Hellickson just called Lobe his little bear guys. That happened.
Yeah, it was a great night for Jose Lobaton. His parents were in from Venezuela. Here's a bump by Bourgeois, and the toss to third, safe. He bunts his way aboard. Jason Bourgeois. And Happ took a spill trying to make that play and is slow getting up. He may have injured himself again. Bourgeois bunting his way on, and Happ, who missed all of that time with the injured knee, may hurt himself right here.
Yeah, and a great effort there by Happ, shoveling that ball to Encarnacion, and you see, as he does it here, you see he's got that knee brace on underneath the pant leg, and that was the right call by Hunter Wendelstedt. But he goes and falls directly on that knee. That was the one that he hurt after getting hit in the head, insult to injury.
The one thing about, I mean, if you had a knee to hurt as a pitcher and as a lefty, it would be the front knee, I guess, better, BA, wouldn't it be, than the push knee?
You know what? Knee? Yeah, either one of them's tough.
Still,
you're right. You got to push.
Yeah.
But then when you land, everything, it rotates over the top of that. I mean, you basically use that, almost as a pole vaulter. That leg hits, you want to hit softly, but everything works over the top of it. So it's going to be tough either way, but he'll take a couple shots at it here and see how he holds up.
Yeah, he sprained that right knee when he was struck in the head by that ball off the bat of Desmond Jennings back on the 7th of May. And it was the knee that kept him out longer than the injuries he sustained from being struck by that batted ball.
No, he said he was good.
He's not going to let this mountain beat him twice.
Yeah, you know what? That probably plays a role into it. You're absolutely right.
Jerry Lane, the plate umpire, along with John Gibbons, both chatting with him there to get the assurance that he's all right and ready to continue.
How about that for the Rays' first hit?
Yeah.
We've gone through this lineup, 3 up, 3 down, the first 9.
The Bourgeois is aboard. That's an element he does bring to this club.
Well, Happ has given up 3 stolen bases. Opposing base runners 3 for 3. That's now in 47 innings of work.
And it's Will Myers stepping in. Will, the DH tonight. Pitch up and a snap throw down to first by Aaron Sebia.
Well, this is exactly what the Rays need to get back into this game. Need to get some guys on base. Try to claw back in it, down by 3. That's not that big of a deficit for this team right now at home. They have shown a flair for the dramatic the last few games.
It's down this time. He started him off speed, missed with the change high, and then a little slider down and in off the plate.
Guys, the key to watch Will Myers and what has been, to me, successful has been how flat he keeps the bat straight to the ball. It really is kind of a George Brett, and you know, obviously George Brett over there with the Royals probably helped him a lot. But he doesn't hitch, he doesn't do anything twitches. He keeps the bat flat, and he just shoots it right A to B to the ball.
There's a strike, 2-1.
What's been so impressive, and you're right, Orestes, the hands so quick to the baseball, and because he gets it there so quick with such tremendous bat speed, the sound and the ball coming off the bat. I mean, he's hit some ground balls that are just through the infield before guys can get out of their stances.
37 runs batted in 48 games. The top American League rookie hitter and runs batted in and average, slugging percentage, and on base percentage. Fouls it back. That production he's come up with, we referenced it the other night. You know, it's just been in those 48 games, but his rate of at-bats to RBI, 4.89. There are only 2 hitters who have played every day who have better rates than that, and that's Miguel Cabrera and Chris Davis. Swing and a miss. He's out on strikes. Big strikeout for Happ.
Well, that's where you end up getting something positive out of missing your location badly. Look where they want this ball. They want it in. Aaron Sebia in. This ball ends up off the plate away, but yet the result exactly what they wanted.
First out. Bourgeois at first. Here's Evan Longoria.
For as much as they might seem similar when they start their swings, Evan and Will Myers, because they're both standing straight up and the front leg opens up a little bit and they kind of face the pitcher. Totally different swings, because Evan's a more smoother, loopy swing, but quick hands.
Takes a strike, fastball.
What you want out of those two guys is the similar start to the swing and similar production at the end of it.
Exactly. Right. Great job here.
How
the
you get there?
in-between part of how the head of the bat gets to the ball, it doesn't really matter.
Two balls and a strike. The count to Evan.
You just envision the potential and the possibilities of these guys in the same lineup, hitting around each other for years.
Well, we've started to get a taste of that here. That would be a great 1-2 punch, whether they're hitting second and third or third and fourth. Into center, goes broke back, and now he can't come up with it. Bourgeois will go to third. Longoria into second. Goes broke back on that ball and tried to recover and then tried to trap it. The ball popped away from him, and the Rays are going to have men at second and third with one out.
Now, Ghost was completely fooled by this ball off the bat of Evan Longoria. He's thinking, Evan Longoria, a line drive right at me. This is a ball that I'm going to have to either go back on or it's going to be right to me. And he, right there, backed up. Bourgeois did a great job of reading right there. Saw the ball bounce into the glove, and he is on his horse. Not satisfied with station-to-station baseball, and Evan Longoria hustles in right behind him. Great hustle play there by the Rays on a zoot fly ball by Anthony Ghost.
Well, it's going to be a base hit for Longoria and an error. The ruling. First error charged to Ghost. And here's Zobrist fouling one, pulling it out of play up the right side. So they give Longoria a base hit as the ball dropped in, and the ball, when Ghost tried to recover, had the ball pop away from him. And Longoria winds up at second. Bourgeois at third. You get the idea Bourgeois was going to go to third regardless. Longoria, would he have moved to second? Maybe not. I think that's where they're going to rule the error comes into play. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. See if that ends up holding up. But it was just he misplayed it. He comes in, dives, leaves his feet to go get the ball.
One down to Zobrist. Fly ball center field. Goes, makes the catch. Tag at third. Bourgeois comes home standing. Boy, he can fly. And the Rays have their first run. It's 3-1. Zobrist picking up the run batted in. The Rays utilizing the speed of Bourgeois all the way around that time.
Well, you got to take advantage of opportunities and mistakes. Clearly one made out in center field by Ghost, put the Rays in this position, and fortunately they did have the speed on third base. They were able to score on that tag up. That was a gift run that you hope the Rays can build on.
Janelle Escobar. Pitch is down. Escobar, 1 ball, no strikes.
We're having a lot more productive bats just in the last 3 or 4 games. Then obviously in that 6-game losing streak with runners in scoring position, where we really were struggling in that scenario.
Yeah, that's an area that this Rays team has been so very good at all season long, clutch hitting. And you're right, they've been able to piece together some innings with clutch at-bats. Later in games, tie game.
Really, to me, the amazing thing is that they've been as consistent as they have been. The nature of hitting is that it's going to ebb and flow. And it did in that 6-game stretch. But over the long haul, there's a base hit up the middle for Escobar. Longoria heads to the plate. Throw coming in. Hits the mound and takes a big bounce. Longoria scores without a play. And it's a 3-2 ball game.
I'll tell you what, Anthony Ghost cannot buy a break. The throw against Bourgeois was offline. Strong throw, but offline. This one was perfectly online, and it catches the hump in the mound. Escobar just zips one up the middle, and then watch this throw from Ghost. Took all the steam out of it.
Well, this inning started with the bunt. The Rays have 2 runs home. 3rd inning when Toronto scored 2. Davis started that with a bunt. Now here's James Loney with Escobar at first. 50 RBIs for Escobar now.
Well, Dwayne, going back to the point that you were making about it's amazing how consistent it's been because of the typical ebbs and flows of hitting. The reason that it has been, in my humble opinion, is because you haven't had to rely on just a couple of guys for your offense.
Yeah,
they've been getting production all over. So if 2 or 3 guys go cold, there have been 2 or 3 other guys that have heated up. So you've got a pretty full lineup.
There's a base hit pulled through the right side by Loney. Escobar stops at second. Another hit for the Rays here in this inning as Loney's aboard. I think you're right, and there's no better example of that than that great July the Rays had, 21-5, and Longoria hit a little over 190 for the entire month.
Yep.
And they were still extremely productive.
And think about this same offense last year when Evan Longoria was out of the lineup. You're like, oh, now what do we do?
Yep.
Well, how are we going to put anything together? Well, he struggled mightily in July, and they had one of the best months, or the best month, in the history of the franchise.
Another point to that, I mean, I think that really is the main point. It's just the diversity has been outstanding this year. But it's also that all these guys, and I'm watching it as a former hitter, when you got runner scoring position, your main thought process should be up the middle or actually opposite field. If you happen to have quick enough hands and you pull the ball, great. You hope to pull it properly. But if you stay up the middle and opposite field, you're going to, lift the ball for a sac fly. You're going to get the base hit. You're going to hit behind the run. And that's what this team has done. And if you look, up the middle, the sac fly was center field. They stay zoned in. It hones you in at the plate, and you hit better.
Rodriguez takes a strike. Well, again, to go back to Joe Madden during that stretch, Madden was bemoaning the high number of strikeouts up and down the lineup during that 6-game losing streak. He wanted contact. He wanted, as he referenced, the swarming offense, contact. And when the Rays get that, when you put the ball into play as often as they do, good things happen. So it comes down to something as basic as what Madden was talking about. The reason this offense has been this consistent. Contact. And to O's point, you're more likely to have contact going up the middle and the other way.
Well, this game is so much about tunnel vision. Both, and don't think that it's B will jump on it. Of course, don't think that everything you think about tunnel vision as a hitter. It's tunnel vision as a pitcher, too. But it's about tunnel vision, just blocking everything out, honing in what you're going to do with your next pitch as a hitter. And if you're thinking, man, I'm going to hit right back up the middle, or I'm going to go the other way, all of a sudden you keep all the elements of what makes you fundamentally successful, which is shoulder in, hips in, the knee in, then explode on the ball. All those things come into play if you've created that tunnel vision due to the fact that you have one thing in mind. Now, if you're spinning to win, then you're in trouble. Your head's going to be out. You're going to be striking out more.
Ball 2. 2-2 the count to Sean Rodriguez. Escobar second, Loney first. And strike 3 called. Sean Rodriguez caught looking to retire the side. Rays get on the board. Bourgeois scored the first run. Longoria reached on a base hit. Zobrist the RBI. Escobar the RBI. 3-2. To make it 3-2 as we go to the 5th. Roberto Hernandez will face Maicer Stewart, then Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion. Stewart nothing out of 2. Pitch is a strike. One count. Stewart's out short to first, and then second to first in the 3rd on a good play by Zobrist. Another ground ball to Ben, right to him this time. That'll be out number 1 in the 5th, and it's time for Art Just for Men, Mustache and Beard, Play Like a Champ profile. Rays in their last 21 home games, 17-4. Averaging just 4 runs a game, but the starters ERA is a little over 3 and the bullpen ERA a little over 1, and that's what makes that possible.
It's math. Simple math.
what we're all about here. Simpler the better. 1-0 the count to Bautista. Bautista hit one out of sight in the first inning. Then hit by a pitch in the third and came around to score. Two and 0. Red Sox beat the Yankees earlier, 6-1. Balls and a strike. Lackey got the win for Boston. He's 8-10. Corota the loser for New York, 11-8. Ortiz a home run for Boston. It's 24th.
You know, when the standings came out today, and you see right there, you've got Boston right now with a game-and-a-half lead on the Rays, and I would rather be in the Rays position.
Yeah, because of the loss column.
That's it. I mean, how about that? You're laughing about that last night.
Back at third, great backhand stop by Longoria, and the long throw on the money. Stamping with a star for Longoria for out number 2 here in the 5th.
Now Bautista opening that front hit and ripping that ball down the line. Longoria there to make the play, but look how far he's got to go with the backhand number 1, and then that. Right to the letters on Loney's chest.
Great play by the Gold Glove down there at third, Evan Longoria.
You know, getting back when we were talking about the standings, laughing about the fact that, you know, the Rays, they find themselves one game out of first place, and you'd rather be in their position.
Because their fate rests in their own hands as long as they have the advantage in the loss column.
They play even up the rest of the way. The Rays would win the division by 1. It's perfect.
Encarnacion with a run batted in on a little ground ball to third in the third. His 91st run batted in of the year. Takes ball 2. Rays with Roberto Hernandez on the hill tonight. Looking for his 7th win of the year. Things have gone a little better at home for Hernandez this year than on the road. Right now he's trailing by a run, 3-2. A strike in there. It's 3-1 at home. He's actually over 500. He's 5-4 here with a 4.08 and 1-8 with an ERA a little over 6 on the road. Longoria again. Scoops, turns, throws. That takes care of Toronto. Evan Longoria flashing some Gold Glove leather here in the 5th inning. Throws out Encarnacion. 3-2 Toronto.
Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion, the stellar duo of the Toronto Blue Jays, which leads us to our AT&T Twitter poll question of the night. Toughest defensive position in baseball. Hashtag TB1 first base. Hashtag TB2, the guy behind the plate, the catcher. Here's a little chopper off the glove of Jay Happ on the mound. He'll have time, though, to get Molina for the first out here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. So the other two choices in our AT&T Twitter poll question are hashtag TB3, third base. Hashtag TB4, shortstop. The Rays have a few guys like Escobar, Longoria, Loney that make some of those positions look a lot easier than they actually are. Tweet your votes. Tweet them to @SunSportsRays, guys.
Great display of some defensive work right there to try to figure out the answer to that whole question. Pitch is a strike to Sam Pohl. First, catch, third, or short?
I have an answer of what I would go with.
Yes.
In my opinion, is I would say unequivocally, for me, it would be catcher. For the simple fact that you are in on every pitch, on every single play.
Yep.
And then with base runners, having to throw behind them, block balls, handle pitching staff. I mean, everything that they have to do, they have to lock it in, as everybody else does. They've got to lock it in on every play because who knows, the ball may be hit to you at that point, but they know something's coming at them every single time.
How about something like that? It's labor and mental intensive work.
Yeah, it absolutely is, especially later in the game. How about that? That little scoop there outside of the body by Lobaton. Even he said, I don't know how that ball ended up in my glove. But thankfully it did. That saved the Rays a run and maybe the win.
Well, Lobaton has been a great story on this club this year. He has made great progress, and with that his confidence has grown, and I really think the confidence level has had almost as much to do with that as his hard work. It's been fun to see that. Sproul tapped to short. Sturis takes care of that. 2 up and 2 down, and I know you spent some time at first base. What was the most difficult part of first base for you?
Obviously first base falls fourth in that group. It's not that it's not important, but it's not as difficult as some of the 2 other positions. Shortstop and catcher are 1-2 in that 4-pack. There's no doubt about it. What catchers have to do on a day-to-day, especially if it's a catcher that's catching 120, 130, 40 games, you got to appreciate that. Also, you get the misnomer is that the pitcher is the quarterback of the team. If you want to make the analogy of football, and the catcher is the center, it's quite the opposite. It's the quarterback of a baseball team, and the analogy is the catcher. I mean, he's the guy that's calling the plays. He's seeing the whole field in front of him, and he knows what's going on, and he's really driving that whole game if it's a really, really good catch.
I think you're selling yourself short.
Nah, not a whole lot going on at first base, man. Just block the ball, have long legs and long arms, and stretch.
See, that's what they used to think, to stick a guy at first have to play. Look at Loney.
I won't say that. No, you say it.
Better Loney makes this entire infield.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, you get a guy over there, and I agree with you. Those other positions are really difficult positions. Swing and miss. Bourgeois is out on strikes. Just don't want you to sell yourself short. We're through 5, 3-2 Blue Jays. Victoria Justice, star of the hit Nickelodeon show Victorious, makes her way to Tropicana Field tomorrow. Rays look to become victorious themselves when they take on the same Blue Jays ball club. And then afterwards, Victoria Justice takes the stage, performing all of her top hits. For tickets, visit raysbaseball.com/concerts. Adam Lind, the DH, leads off the 6th here for Toronto. And the pitch is in there, strike. Lind, Laurie, and Aaron Sebia, 2 up here for the Blue Jays. Two. Play.
And there's a perfect example of when you're pitching ahead, how you can get a hitter to now go after that ball down in the zone. I guarantee you, if that's the first pitch of the at-bat, 1-0. 0-2, I'm not so sure now.
Yep.
And you can get a guy to expand. That's the way that Roberto Hernandez, when he pitches like that, he is tough to beat.
It's a ball and 2 strikes. And Hernandez retired 7 in a row, and 5 of those have come on ground ball outs. 2 great plays by Longoria on Bautista and Encarnacion in the 5th included among those ground balls. There's a high shot deep into right center field. Lynn got a good piece of this one and hits it deep into the seats. That's his 15th home run of the year and his 3rd career home run of Hernandez, and it makes it 4-2.
And all you got to do, you wonder why that ball got blasted like that, just watch where it ends up. Above the belt, top of the strike zone, and that's where that sinker will flatten out and becomes very hittable.
You know, BA, and that's, we were talking about that before. Okay, so you saw where Jose Molina was setting up and in, correct?
Yep.
It's a great time to throw an up and in, nice 91, 92 mile an hour, well-placed fastball. But if you throw the 2-seamer up and in, that's what happens. That has the potential to happen, to drift back over the plate. That's why when we're talking about the breakdown of the percentages of his pitches, where's the 4-seamer there? You spot that in his hands there. All of a sudden, he pops that up or he swings through it.
You know, my only question on that, Orestes, is with Roberto Hernandez, with his arm angle and his arm action, even if he's holding the 4-seamer, can he throw it straight? I think the 2-seamer is where you're going to get your sink, and I think the 4-seamer, while it may be a little bit straighter, I still think because of his arm action and arm angle that it's going to at least get some run. I don't know if he's capable of throwing the ball straight.
That is a very good point. You may be right. I'll have to ask, Jose and Molina. We'll have to ask him if that was a 4-seamer. And then you're just stuck with the fact that you always have a tailback.
Yeah, and that's why it makes it so important. And that's what's so hard when you're going, from a lefty or righty. The glove side fastball is the toughest one to make because it really forces you to have to get out and get full extension to drive that ball to the spot.
Line drive into left field. Off the fastball, 1 hop to the wall. Bourgeois plays the carom. Laurie's in at second with a double.
Yeah, this is an example of it right here. Trying to go away with the fastball. That's a glove side fastball for Roberto Hernandez. He doesn't quite get full extension, and watch where the ball ends up. Trying to bury it outside. Look, almost ends up middle in.
Yeah, it really did. And he was trying to go outside.
Yep, and that's the toughest pitch to execute because it requires the most, I don't want to say effort, but to get out over your front side and get that ball to the other side of the plate on your glove side, you really have to get full extension. Any little bit less and the ball is going to tail back over the plate.
Here in Sebia misses out in front of that pitch, strike 1. Alex Torres up in the bullpen. 2.
That was a good one. I mean, that was a better placed ball.
Home run and a double here in the 6th. Sebia takes the pitch down. 1-2. So 2 home runs in this game, surrendered by Roberto Hernandez, 22 on the year. And Aaron Sebia out on strikes. Aaron Sebia down in the count, and that didn't appear to be the greatest pitch in the world either. Let's take a look.
That was a backup slider.
Yeah,
that's exactly what that was. That's the one that you do it on purpose. A lot of guys miss it. You know, if that ball ends up breaking just a little bit, it's right on. Aaron Sebia is right on it. It just didn't, and he misses it.
Oh, as a hitter, you hate that one because you're like, it's a slider, and you read it, and then, well, wait a second, what happened to the last part of that pitch? Where it didn't finish off. That's not fair.
That is absolutely right. And as a pitcher, you're happy with the result, but you're like, I can't keep hanging like that. Just.
Well, then again, I'm not, guys, I think probably the second slider that I've counted today. Maybe he's had one more. So ever since the home run by Bautista, where he hung a slider, we haven't really seen it. Until then, and it was a backup slider. So, you know, not a slider, not muy bueno right now. No bueno.
1-1 to DeRosa. This next pitch from Hernandez will be number 100. Foul up the right side, out of play. DeRosa, the number 8 hitter. It's a 2-run deficit right now with a man in scoring position, so a crucial spot in this game. The Rays at one point were down by 3. They closed the gap to 1, and it's 2 again, and that's a strike call. DeRosa out on strikes. A big out there. 2 gone. And here comes Joe Madden. Anthony Gose is due up. And 2 outs into the 6th inning. That's going to be it for Roberto Hernandez. 5 2/3. Time for the Metro PCS. Call to the bullpen. Evening for Roberto Hernandez. 5 2/3. Fans, thanks to you, we've sold out the Papa John's bullpen box for the remainder of the 2013 season. Find out about other great group outing opportunities at Tropicana Field by contacting Group Sales at 855-GROUP-TB or email groupsales@raysbaseball.com. Alex Torres comes on from the Rays bullpen with Brett Lawrie at second, 2 outs, and Anthony Ghost, the center fielder, coming on to bat.
Well, Joe Maddon taking no chances here with the left-hander Ghost coming up. Does not want to see Toronto extend this lead, so he goes to the very tough lefty Torres, who comes on for the 25th time.
Ghost has gone out to left with a fly ball, called out on strikes in the 4th. Upstairs, 1-0. Hernandez worked 5 2/3, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, responsible for a man on as he leaves. Strike, 1-1. Pitched an inning Thursday against Seattle. Goes late on the fastball, fouls it. That gives Torres the advantage in the count, 1-2. Goes 24 years old, originally with the Phillies. Foul ball holds the count right there. In fact, signed by the Phillies and then eventually traded to Houston along with Jay Happ. It was in the Roy Oswalt deal, 2010. Takes off, throw to third, he throws it away. And here comes Lawrie in to score. Torres threw the ball by Longoria down into the bullpen. And the Blue Jays pilfer another run. It's 5-2.
Boy, how about that? Brett Lawrie had picked something up there with Alex Torres, and his approach and delivery to the plate, and just decided to go early. Look at him, just get a running start. You see Torres at the last minute turn. You know, Evan Longoria not on the bag, so for obvious reasons, Laurie's trying to sneak one there, and Torres throwing it to the moving Longoria, throws it behind him.
So it's a stolen base and an error. And Lawrie essentially steals a run right there by stealing third base and scoring on the throwing error.
And explaining to Mark DeRosa exactly what he saw and the chance that he took. Longoria off the bag, Alex Torres locked in on getting the sign at home plate. He probably had that thought in his mind for a pitch or two.
And it also worked out perfectly because he's a lefty. So even when he takes the set and he breaks, you know, if you're a right-handed pitcher, you're watching the guy go. So yeah, great time to do that. And you know, Ghost was struggling, fouling balls off late, and he says, you know what, I'm gonna risk it. Brett Lawrie is a very aggressive player. We've seen both offensively and defensively, a kid with a lot of upside and talent.
And energy level through the roof. He was out there for too long. Had to go somewhere.
He couldn't stay in one base that long. Here it is again.
Yeah, so the lefty doesn't even know. Great job. You know, yesterday, at one point, he was on base. He runs very, very well. They had pinch ran Davis. At the plate was Ghost. And On deck was Reyes. You're talking like 4. It was like a relay team that was on there from the Olympics.
Ghost fouls it again out of play. Well, he got a running start when Torres didn't look back there.
And then Torres is reacting to Molina. Molina's standing up like you got to step off. And Torres, of course, he steps off and then wondering what's the hubbub about.
Eat the ball.
Yeah.
Eat the ball right there. It's Gilm third.
Inside 2-2. Well, the Rays, who at the end of 3 trailed by 3. Again here in the 6th inning are down by 3 runs. It's a psychological lift for the Blue Jays there to run the lead back to 3 and do it in that fashion. Ghost runs another deep count here, a full count.
Say very quietly, Anthony Gose has put together a nice at-bat here against Alex Torres.
10 pitches.
Yeah.
And he's out on strikes. Well, Torres strikes him out to retire the side, but the Blue Jays add 2. It's 5-2.
Blue Jays 5-2 heading to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Cobb has had communication with Jay Happ. Obviously, they both were hit by line drives on this mound. Here's Cobb about how they stayed in touch.
We kind of exchanged stories, and he told me how he felt when he saw what happened on the same mound that it happened to him, and explained the struggles it was to watch him go through what he went through. It's a different view when you see it from the other side, when you're going through it versus when you see somebody else go through it. So, we talked about that a little bit and talked about his other struggles that he's had with the knee injury and his progress.
So there you go, guys. Alex stayed in touch with Jay Happ until Jeremy Hellickson lost Alex Cobb's phone in a jet ski situation. But now they're back in contact again, so all is good. But scary moments for both those guys. Great to see them back on the mound this homestand.
Well, the Rays happy to get Alex Cobb back. I know Alex was happy to be back out there active, and the Happ, same thing with the Blue Jays. He's fallen behind Myers 3-0. Takes a strike. Well, the Rays have to go back to work here again, down by 3. Now in the bottom of the 6th. Three 3-1. swings through that one. Full count.
And you know that every time he does that, he's like, come on. Those are pitches that he typically has really hit hard.
Fouled back here.
You could see it. You could see the body language as soon as he swings and fouls it off. He's like, "What? I mean, what am I doing? Just missing those pitches that you know that he wants to, and he feels like he's right on top of." Watch the reaction.
Not sure what he said right there.
Wasn't good. I know what he said.
3-2. He's out on strikes.
He's saying worse right now. Hey, Arestas, what did he say?
Yeah,
you're right down there.
I'm right there.
Yeah, go ahead. You tell us.
The crazy thing is that he was speaking in Spanish. I don't know where he learned that in North Carolina, High Point, where he's from. But I will tell you, saying seriously, you know, he was very frustrated yesterday with R.A. Dickey, as most people can be. And he's a young hitter. In fact, he even changed his approach a little bit, I noticed.
Here's Evan throwing one into right. Bautista back to the wall. Going to be over his head. He comes down on the warning track. And into second goes Longoria.
You can see Jose Bautista going back on that ball. The rate of the travel of the ball and Bautista running, you knew that he wasn't going to have a shot at it. And all he did was basically throw his glove up. What he ended up doing was taking himself out of the play right here. This ball away. Evan hits it that way. Lets that ball get into the zone before he explodes into it. And right here. And that's dangerous because, number one, you know, you almost hurt yourself on a ball you're not going to get to. Great effort. But with that ball bounding back, would have been a great opportunity to get Evan Longoria over to third base. Not able to do that.
Well, it's the 30th double of the year for Evan, and Ben Zobrist hits with Longoria in scoring position. Ball one.
And I was just going to finish up saying that a knuckleballer like that will take you out of sorts a little bit for a day or two, and just get you off timing, and just, you know, and I see him kind of a little bit off timing. He's seeing 92, 93 mile an hour fastballs outer part that he is at least fouling off or hitting well Will Myers to the right side, and he's completely swinging through, so he seems off timing.
It's too high to Ben Zobrist. We talked about that yesterday, and you well know hitters don't always like to face those guys, particularly when they're swinging the bat well.
Yeah,
they don't like to go up against a guy like they saw Dickey yesterday. 2-0 the count to Ben. 3 balls, no strikes. A big at bat right here as the Rays try to counterpunch with something in the bottom of the 6th inning. And with Zobrist ahead 3-0, Hap's going to get a visit. They do have action in the Toronto bullpen right now.
You got to remember, you think back to that 4th inning and how quickly the Rays were able to put together an inning off Hap, and now with Toronto extending that lead back out to 3, you certainly don't want to see that happen again. And so be closely monitored from here on out.
It's Neil Wagner throwing in the bullpen. Sports and highlights show you've been waiting for is here. Fox Sports Live. As Jay Onright and Dan O'Toole, joined by Donovan McNabb, Gary Payton, Andy Roddick, and Carissa Thompson, to bring you everything you need to know about the world of sports. Fox Sports Live airs nightly on Fox Sports 1. There's a strike to Zobrist, now 3-1. Yunel Escobar is on deck. And ball 4. Zobrist is aboard. 2 men on with 1 out. And Escobar becomes the potential tying run here in the 6th. And Aaron Seavey is going to go to the mound and take a little more time. 1 out. Longoria at second. Zobrist at first. Here comes John Gibbons. So the Blue Jays taking as much time as they can to give Wagner ample time to get ready in the bullpen. Time for the Metro PCS call to the bullpen. He leaves with 2 men on. Escobar is going to be the hitter, and Blue Jays want the right-hander. It's Neil Wagner.
Well, Neil Wagner on for the 26th time to try to get out of this little mini jam. The Rays have been able to put 2 runners on base, and the reason that Gibbons goes to that, obviously, Jay had the pitch count starting to come up there a little bit, but this is the same part of the lineup that did him in the 4th inning, where the Rays were able to scrape out 2 runs and close that 3-run lead to 1. Not wanting to see that again, he goes to Wagner here, righty on righty.
Escobar takes the pitch. A slider for a strike. Mid-90s fastball, and Escobar is the 2nd out. James Loney coming up there now. Originally signed by the Cleveland Indians. He spent time in the Oakland organization, Padres, and now the Blue Jays. Fastball high.
Good fastball. I mean, everybody throws 95 now when they come out of the pen.
I'm not kidding. Unless you're a specialist with an odd arm angle.
Sure.
Yeah, that's where the resume starts. They start looking at him at 95.
Period.
Yeah, this guy's been clocked higher than that. He's hit 99. Ground ball to second. DeRosa makes the play, and the Rays lead 2. We go to the 7th. It's 5-2 Toronto. Since the first, when Jose Bautista hit a 2-out solo home run. They got another run in the 3rd on a ground by Encarnacion and a base hit by Brett Lawrie. That made it 3-0. Rays got 2 in the 4th. Then Zobrist lifted a sacrifice fly to center. Fidel Escobar singled home Evan Longoria to make it 3-2. What a home run by Adam Lynn in the 6th inning. Widened the lead again for the Blue Jays. They got another run. Lawrie stole 3rd and scored on the errant throw by Alex Torres. So it's 5-2 as we go to the 7th. And Rajai Davis takes the first pitch for a strike. Davis bunted his way on to open the 3rd, and that led to 2 runs. His first bunt hit of the year. And the Blue Jays would love to see more of that with his great speed. One ball, 2 strikes.
Well, there's no reason not to. It's just another weapon used to get on base, and we've seen how dangerous he can be once he's on base.
Yeah, he's 36 out of 39 in the stolen base department.
This is the same thing that the Rays are thinking and going through with Desmond Jennings. Any added way to get you on base, benefit to the team.
Tap to the mound, and Torres with the toss to first. Davis kept off the bases here to start the 7th. 1 away. There's Desmond. Desmond does have 4 bunts this year, which tops on the club.
But he, like Davis, likes that push bunt, get it by the pitcher, and then who's going to race you? Who's going to be able to get to the bag? Second baseman's going to have to come too long of a route to get you most of the time.
Stewart hits a little looper into shallow right, and a great attempt by Rodriguez, but he comes up with it on the short hop, and that's a base hit for Astores. Hunter Wendelstedt out from first to make the call.
And it was the right call. It was a great effort, but you're going to see this ball hit turf. And right up into the top of the thumb of that glove.
It's about as close as you can come to making that catch and not making it. Short hop into the webbing. Now it's Bautista. Jose Bautista. Bautista homered in the first, hit by a pitch, and scored in the 3rd, and then robbed on a hard hit ball back a third in the fifth when Longoria made the first of two outstanding plays in consecutive fashion. Fastball in. Torres getting it up there at 95.
Torres, a very good fastball, good changeup. Brandon Gomes, a very sneaky right-handed reliever. Got a wide arm angle, good movement on the fastball. The velocity has come all the way back, ready to go now at 90-92. Good slider.
Two and 0.
You know, you wonder if the Rays get to a situation that if the starting pitching picks it back up again across the board, where these guys are going 6, 7, 8 innings per start, how in the world do you keep that bullpen fresh? You've got so many arms down there now. May not be a bad thing to give a guy a blow here or there, like Peralta with all of his appearances, McGee. But at the same time, you want to keep him sharp.
Yep. And they do have a lot of arms, so it's a matter of finding work for them. Particularly if the starting pitching, and you have every reason to believe that the starting pitching will be fine.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a strike, 3-1. Second pitch was a strike. All works out. 3-1. And ball 4 down. 2 men on with 1 out in the 7th inning. Batista's on base for the 3rd time. Edwin Encarnacion is due, and Jim Hickey is going to trot to the mound. Red Sox have won their game. Rays started the day a game back. They're now a game and a half out. So while the Rays talk it over, Encarnacion waits to come to the plate. Tampa Bay Rays baseball on Sun Sports is brought to you by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. And by the Tampa Bay Times. Amazing stories only in the 2013 Pulitzer Prize-winning Tampa Bay Times. Encarnacion drove it around with a ground ball in the 3rd. Officially 0 for 3. The Rays overload the left side. Zobrist a few steps on the shortstop side of second. Strike at the knees. Roberto Hernandez worked 5 2/3, gave up 5 runs, 4 earned. Allowed 7 hits, picked up 3 strikeouts. Alex Torres working here in the 7th. One and 1. Jay Happ worked 5 1/3 for Toronto, gave up 5 hits, a couple of runs, 5 strikeouts and a walk. Low again. 2 and 1.
You can see Torres here with Bautista, now Encarnacion, recognizing the power of these two guys, working them very, very carefully, trying to be perfect with each and every pitch.
takes the count to 2-2. Encarnacion, originally with the Reds, up and down between the minor leagues in Cincinnati for a few seasons, and then wound up in Toronto in 2009. 42 home runs last year. Has 30 this year. And the count is full to it.
And neither he nor Bautista have anything that when I'm doing a clinic or teaching kids that I would even compare, suggest to try, because he's tightened up and kind of, it's just not a very orthodox approach at the plate.
3-2. Ground ball third. Longoria goes to second. 1. Zobrist to first. 2. 5-4-3. Longoria, Zobrist to Loney to get the Rays out of the spot in the top of the 7th inning as they turn the double play. 7th inning stretch time here at the Trop. 5-2 Toronto. Half of the 7th inning. Half worked 5 1/3. Wagner came on, got 2 outs in the 6th inning. Kelly Johnson will open the bottom of the 7th inning, pinch hitting for Sean Rodriguez. Joe Madden wants the left-handed bat against Wagner. This pitch inside.
Well, let's go. Why not? Last couple of nights have been pretty drama-filled. Here the Rays down by 3 shots left. Exciting finish. Let's hope for it.
Shot for foul. A couple of walk-offs among the 3 wins for the Rays. 3 consecutive wins.
And these are the types of situations where you've really seen the Rays as a unit lock in on each and every at-bat. It's almost like someone's down in that dugout saying, all right, boys, nobody giving away an at-bat. Work that pitcher. Lock it in. This may be your last. And that's when they've been able to piece together some innings to lead to all that drama.
Very high. The count squares at 2-2. Wagner got to the big leagues with Oakland in 2011 for 6 games. And he strikes out Johnson. 1 out here in the 7th. Almost time for the kids to go back to school, and now they can be prepared with a Rays lunchbox given out when the Rays take on the Blue Jays tomorrow. Lunchbox presented by Sweet Bay Supermarkets to kids 14 and under while supplies last. Visit RaysBaseball.com for tickets. I'm not sure he's 14 or under, but he's enjoying that lunchbox nevertheless.
He certainly is. I want another. See that shot of the lunchbox again from the inside out, opening that thing up. Because I don't know about, yes. Now, is this the same material right here used on the space shuttle?
I think so.
It's a heat shield coming back in.
It's the same material that Todd uses on his jacket that he wore the other night.
Nice.
That did look like the,
What
out
about
in L.A. too. All those off days.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
What about the backpack shot that you guys showed the other day, where he's actually wearing the backpack? That was a little bit scary.
But he wore it in today.
Yeah.
He wore it into work today.
He did. Put a lot of stuff in there.
Probably mean that.
There
yeah,
you
right
go.
there.
Look at that. That is,
That's where he was imploring everybody. It's connected. It's connected. You got to come back. It's connected.
You got to come back.
See the connect right.
Yeah, the lunchbox fits right in there.
Very big about that. He had me. He had me at connected.
2-2 the count here to Jose Molina. I'm looking forward to the full suit made out of that shirt. We saw the jacket. We didn't see the trousers.
Blinding.
Tap to the right side. DeRosa. Molina's second out. A strikeout and a ground out here for the Rays in the bottom of the seventh. Sam Fuld will get up there to try to start something with 2 outs. Fuld takes a strike. Down a bit. 1-1. Rays won last night's game 5-4. They trail 5-2 tonight. Sam bounces this one down toward the bullpen. See Brandon Gomes still busy down there. Just activated with Luke Scott going on the DL. It's 2-2. Extracurricular activity going on the field here, and he's going to be gently lifted up after he was gently taken down.
Solid technique.
Gently escorted off the field.
Solid technique.
Was that Darrell Rivas right there for the Bucks?
Listen, I know they're having linebacker battles. They may want to add a name to the mix.
They want to add a name to the mix, dude, because the takedown was good.
Walk of shame.
Well, depends how inebriated he might be. It might not be that shameful. The shame is later on when you realize exactly what you did.
He seemed to be pretty proud of himself.
Yeah. It was like, dude, I got all the way to left center.
2-2 to Sam Fuld is high. The count is full. fouled back. 2 outs, base is empty. And Sanford walks. 2-out pass. Gets back around to the top of the order. Bourgeois due, but Matt Joyce has a bat and is working that over here as he comes off the bench. Bourgeois, who had bunted his way on and scored a run in the 4th inning, going 1 for 3, lifted in favor of the left-handed bat of Matt Joyce. Matt homered last night in the 6th inning. That ended a home run drought for him since the 15th of June. He hit that ball well on the 11th pitch of the at-bat. A home run off R.A. Dickey. Now he faces Wagner. Foul ball. Wagner in at 96 with that one. Brad Lincoln down in the bullpen along the left field line for Toronto. Another strong arm in their pen. From the pitch, it's 1-1.
Hey, you can smile about that now, but that will get your attention in a hurry. 96, and this is getting up close to the shoulders. Yee. I mean, just out of the way.
And had gone 123 at bats between home runs, the longest span of his career between home runs. He connected last night.
And you hope that that is something that really gets him going in the power and production category. Sometimes you go through that drought, maybe you try to do a little bit too much. He started to swing the bat much better recently, and now finally gets that ball out of the yard.
It's fouled back to third, headed for the stands. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, Wagner does not look, when you look at him on the mound, the guy that would throw 96, 98, 90. I mean, it's a Tom Seaver kind of all lower half legs type of guy.
Yeah, you know, he's got a stout build, but he just powers the ball. You know, everything else, it comes down to arm and hand speed out in front. You drive right there and
the first backhanded grab by Encarnacion makes the play unassisted. Walk and a man left, and we go to the 8th. 5-2 Toronto.
one. The Rays welcome Matt, and you can only get it by coming to Game 3 against Toronto tomorrow and purchasing a ticket called the Tampa Bay Times Ticket Tandem. So go to raysbaseball.com/tandems. Get your ticket. Come out here. I'm telling you what, this is one of the best promotional giveaways. Some of you know I live in a retirement community, and I've already got this outside my door, and it's a pretty big hit. I've gotten some requests. I can't help them out, though. You guys got to come to the game tomorrow.
New pitcher for the Rays will be Brandon Gomes, who will be making his first appearance in a Rays uniform since that night that Jay Happ was hit by that line drive. It's been that long. Last time out was on the 7th of May. Faces Adam Lynn. Pitch is a strike.
Just another quality option for Joe Madden coming out of that bullpen. We've seen Brandon Gomes healthy and at his very best. He's a guy that can handle both the righties and the lefties. The changeup against the lefties, the breaking ball against the righties.
A couple of strikes here into Lynn. Kelly Johnson in left field after pinch hitting. Matt Joyce in right. Shot deep to right. Joyce will run out of room. That ball is gone. Adam Lynn on an 0-2 pitch hits his second home run of the night. And now it's a 4-run game, 6-2.
Now Brandon Gomes did exactly what we had talked about. Went the changeup right here. The little ball was 82 miles an hour, but it's found its way to the middle of the plate. And Adam Lynn, not fooled at all by even the change of speed, was right on it.
Three home runs hit tonight by Toronto. Laurie takes ball one. Laurie is 2 out of 3. A run batted in and a run scored. Two 2-0.
Laurie showing no signs of slowing down. This was a guy who was a $199 not that long ago, and he has really swung the bat well to get up to 263.
2-1.
I have a feeling this guy in the offseason, he's just trying to figure out what to do when he doesn't have games.
Oh, like, can you imagine?
He's like, oh, what am I going to do today? I mean, like, what, the beach, I guess? I don't know.
And you know with a guy like this, there is no hitting the snooze button.
No.
When it's wake up time, those covers get thrown off, hops out of bed. I love it. In fact, I love it when he's at third and Kawasaki's at short. It's the most
left side.
fidgety left side of the infield in baseball.
Yeah, and if you put Rajah Davis in left, that whole side of their defense is
just very active.
A defense in motion.
Yes.
You watch those guys out there short, third, and Davis in left for too long, you develop Tourette's.
Oh my God. It's just moving. Going. Look how he even sets up at the plate. He just can't. He's not. There's nothing slow or methodical. It's twitchy.
He is out on strikes this time. Missed the fastball.
Well, you know, earlier in the year when he was struggling, we were talking to Pat Tabler, the color analyst for the Blue Jays, about his struggles. And, you know, along those lines of being super fidgety and a lot of things going, you know, Pat said that when he would get going, you know, those hands would go, the body would go, but the head would go too.
Yep.
Right.
So he said the head's moving towards the plate, the ball's moving at him. It's hard to hit a moving target when your head's moving like that. And they're both.
It's hard to hit a moving target when you're a moving target. That's what you have.
That's true.
Thank goodness for you, Dwayne.
Yeah, he put it in perspective.
The pitch This is
He's going to sit the next couple out.
It's hard to hit a moving
Don't do
target.
that.
I'm going to remember that one, though. It's hard to hit a moving target when you're a moving target. I
See,
like
that's the true pro wraps it up, puts a nice little bow on it.
Yeah.
just fun being with both you guys. Ball to third. Longoria backhands and makes the throw. So 2 outs. Another nice play by Evan down there at third.
Well, he starts to make the tough plays. It looks so routine. You just take it for granted, his defense. Yeah, backhand up the line, never easy. And his throws, how many times they end up right there.
Yeah. And not only is there great glove work, but his throwing is just immaculate. DeRosa ducking that pitch as it stayed up. Well, Gomes been on the DL and out for rehab assignments. And he was not happy with himself on that pitch.
No, they just found its the split, the home run,
yep.
Found its way to the middle of the plate. That breaking ball, and he's thrown some good ones. Yeah, listen, anytime you've been out that long, starter, reliever, or otherwise, get back out there. The butterflies are banging around and they're pretty good. Adrenaline's pumping. Haven't been out at this level in months.
It's a shot into center field. Long run by Fold. He'll have to chase it back toward that corner in left center. And DeRosa's in at second with a double.
Yeah, and the problem when you're in this kind of a situation as a reliever is you don't have time to get into the flow of the game. You've got to come in and bang out your 3 outs or whatever it's going to be very quickly. And DeRosa just got another mistake right there. Just a ball out over the plate, and he's able to get it by Fold. And another opportunity for the Blue Jays.
Anthony Gose. There's nothing of 3. Strike. We're in the 8th. Blue Jays have led all evening, starting with the first inning home run by Jose Bautista. Pitch by Gose with 2. Action in the bullpen. Actually, 2 guys standing around in the bullpen right now. They were throwing. Oliver the lefty and Lincoln the right-hander. 1-2. Hernandez for 5 2/3. Corey is an inning and a third. Gomes working here in the 8th. Two. No slider there. 29-year-old right-hander. Out on strikes, 2 strikeouts in the inning, but a run on the Lynn home run. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Will Myers will lead it off for the Rays, who trail 6-2. Rays are now down 6-2. It'll be Myers, Longoria, and Zobrist. Brad Lincoln, hard-throwing right-hander, the new pitcher for the Blue Jays. Wagner worked an inning in 2/3. And how about that breaking ball to start this at bat? Strike one.
Yeah, and I don't blame Will Myers one bit. I mean, this thing took a left turn.
Dude, I buckled here in the well. What are you talking about? I went like, hey, chief. And I'm on the left side.
Really?
Yeah, that's not fair.
Except for this stuff.
That's not fair at all.
Do with that.
Yeah. First I get the knuckleballer, then my swing's all messed up. Now I get this guy, Lincoln, throwing these nasty curveballs. And he throws 96.
One ball, 2 strikes. Comes out with 3 straight. Well, they're not really straight curveballs, but 3 consecutive curveballs.
Now, if you were talking about me,
Oh, well. Foul ball back.
although I was smart enough not to throw 3 straight, maybe 1.
Well, that is smart. It's the pitcher's approach to, Billy Hatcher. Remember Billy coached here and played. He could swing the bat a little bit, and his approach was never to swing at a pitch that you can't hit because you don't want to let the pitcher know that you can't hit that pitch.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, hey, Billy's a smart guy.
Yeah, I'm not swinging at that low slider at all.
Yeah,
I'm just not swinging at it.
2-2 here to Myers. Pops it up. It's a foul ball and will be caught by Aaron Sebia, the catcher. So finally swinging at that curveball, and he fouls out. He goes, really? And that's all he would say. Now Evan Longoria.
He's got that pitch working tonight. You better believe that Evan's going to see a few of those. I don't know if that is Will Myers' last at bat. You hope it's not. But if it is, quick sleep, quick turnaround. Come get him tomorrow.
Pitch a little bit away. A fastball. Coming at 93. Back with that.
Yeah, enough said. I mean, when you see that right there, you got a 1-0 count. Evan ready to hit. I mean, that ball was a foot off the end of that bat.
More. But he was, he was guessing fastball. That was weird.
Oh, that's amazing, isn't it?
Well, you thought that was a fastball. That breaking ball
stayed in.
I mean,
yeah.
And here it is. This one gets away a little bit, but still.
Yeah.
We need to buckle up our seatbelts for this.
That's exactly right.
That's
now
the one.
Fastball, he fouls it back.
Yeah, that's where, as a hitter, Arestas, you're probably thinking the same thing. With what he's featuring tonight, that was your pitch to hit.
Yeah, you want one. It was probably, it's one of these type of situations. You know you're going to get one maybe, and that was it. And he missed it. And now it's going back to the yellow hammers probably.
Oh, how about that? A fastball just locked him up.
Yeah, and that ball caught more plate than probably Brad Lincoln wanted. But I think, Longoria is thinking right along with Arestas. After that fastball had a little bit of elevation, he's going to go right back to the breaking ball, going to that thing.
That was the one right there.
Yep. And now
there's no way. Yeah, I'm not thinking that at all. I mean, there's just, there's no way that you're going to throw and hit that much of the plate.
Now Zobrist takes the base hit the other way. Rounding first and holds right there. First pitch fastball, and Ben has his first hit of the night. 2-out single in the 8th. Janelle Escobar.
Guessing so much part. You don't want it to be a part of your hitting. You can't help it being a part of hitting it. We all used to call it, and they still do, I'm sure now, you know, guesstimating. So you don't want to kind of own up to the fact that you're actually full on guessing. It was a guesstimation. That's what it was. It was a guesstimation. Yeah, no, you were guessing. And I really had to kind of get into that a lot more when I went to Japan for all those years because of the forkball. I mean, these kids over there, the pitchers, they're born, I think, out of their mom's womb with a forkball already in hand.
Well, popping away, and Zobrist is going to advance.
You start working them young.
Yeah, no.
Right in the crib. You just take a little ping pong ball and start to spread the fingers.
Right. So then I had to learn to hit that pitch, or I never would have been successful over there without learning how to master first how to hit it, then how to guess, and you know, be able to sometimes almost think backwards to be able to set them up to get that forkball, or backwards to get the fastball.
Yeah, Arestas, to that end, how about this? When a guy throws a fork ball or a split, the ball kind of comes out tumbling, with that tumbling action. Is that something that you can pick up quickly? Is that action on the ball?
Actually, you can with the true forkball. The splitter, harder, because the split is a more, you know, fastball motion, and then it just kind of dips more, sinks in, or slides down. While the forkball, you can pick it up almost more like a curveball, or, you know, like that.
Ground ball to third, diving stop, Laurie up and throws to first to retire Escobar in the Rays in the 8th. Man left, we go to the 9th, 6-2 Toronto.
Tomorrow in our Rays Live pregame show, driven by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers, Rays will wrap up this series and the homestand with Chris Archer on the mound. We'll have plenty of information regarding that final game of this series. And tonight, after the game, it'll be the Rays Live postgame show presented by Checkers. We'll recap tonight's game. Kelly Nash will be in the Rays clubhouse gathering interviews. I'll be out in left field with Orestes Estrada and Dwayne and B.A. with their thoughts on this one as well. All that coming up right after the game on Rays Live, presented by Checkers, guys.
All right, now that we have all of our post-game assignments, we'll move into the 9th inning. It's a 6-2 ball game. Cesar Ramos is the new pitcher, making his 37th appearance on the year for the Rays. We'll be facing the top of the order Rajah Davis, who has a run scored tonight in 4 at-bats and bunt single to open a 2-run third. Fouls the first pitch here. Out of play, strike one. The Orioles had a 7-run inning tonight early on the Rockies in Baltimore, and they have an 8-4 lead in the 8th inning with Colorado batting. Red Sox beat the Yankees. Davis lifts fly ball toward center for Sam Fuld. One away. The Rays have tomorrow's game left on this homestand, and then they'll be headed to Baltimore just for a quick 3-game series. And right back home here to Tropicana Field. The Yankees will be coming in, then the Angels. The Rays have a long road trip to the West Coast to end the month and get into September. Sarah Stewart batting right-handed against Ramos, and the pitch is a strike or ball, a little bit wide.
Guys, is it me or has it been a weird kind of schedule for the Tampa Bay Rays this year?
I think everybody in one stretch or another, they've had some weird scheduling, and a lot of that has to do with you know, the whole interleague situation.
15 and 15,
yeah,
and then try to even that up.
Yep. The Rays are certainly going to be busy here to close the regular season. Broken bat and chop down to second. Zobrist makes the play. 2 outs.
And that's why I think that West Coast trip, 10 games, and you know, when you finally get to that trip, that will be about 1/3 of the schedule left. And I don't care who you play when you go out west. Those are always difficult trips. So that will be a very key week and a half for this Rays team.
Yeah, it's tough to go west. You're right, regardless of what kind of season the teams out there are having. Oakland's going to be tough, as we know. The Angels have had a disappointing year, but that's 4 games out there. Yeah, they'll be prime.
Yep.
And Seattle, we saw them. You know, you run into 2 or 3 of their good starting pitchers. So that could be a tough series.
And the Rays very fortunate to have missed Iwakuma and Felix Hernandez here. You wonder how it's going to turn out, like you said, out there with those 3 games. You may get one of them. You may get both of them.
Yep.
And that would be extremely difficult. And, you know, once you get into September and those teams like that still have pride and have talented players on it, they look forward to these. That becomes their playoff series.
Forward to.
They can now affect races and standings. And so they really get up for them, especially in their home ballpark. You've got to come ready to play each and every night. No doubt about it.
There's a strike. 1-2 to Bautista. Then when the Rays come home from that trip, folks, get ready for this. The games at home that the Rays have left after that West Coast trip. 3 with Boston. A little trip up to Minnesota, and then 4 with Texas and 4 with Baltimore. High pop. Third base side out from short is Escobar. So 1-2-3 against Ramos. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Loney, Johnson, and Molina do. Rays down 6-2. by 4. Moving into the bottom of the ninth. James Loney in to lead off the inning for the Rays. Darren Oliver, the veteran lefty on the hill for the Blue Jays. Their 4th pitcher of the night.
Is he ever going to stop?
I don't think so.
And still effective.
Line drive into center, and Gose is there to make the catch. Oliver's 41st appearance, and his number is in good order.
He needs to get his appearances up to his age.
Yeah, he's 42.
Right.
Boy, a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience. And you know this guy is not rattled by any situation. What he's seen.
Pitch is a strike to Kelly Johnson. Well, not only has he seemingly pitched forever, but he grew up in the game. His dad was Bob Oliver. Pretty good right-handed hitter with Kansas City. Also had some time with, I think, the Angels and the Yankees and maybe the Orioles. With a base hit. Johnson award. So Darren Oliver grew up in the game and has played professionally since 1988. He got to the big leagues in '93. And in October, he'll be 43. Jose Molina.
What did Jesse Orozco? I mean, Orozco did he hit 44?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he was.
Jesse was something.
I don't know. Yes, he was something else. That's right. Swing and a miss. 1-1. There's a strike. So Oliver will be 43 in October. Jesse Orozco was, I think he pitched until he was 46.
46.
Wow.
Outstanding.
Down to third. Encarnacion back to the bag to tag it. Johnson goes to second. Molina is out. Laurie to Encarnacion. Orozco was in over 60 games his final year. How about that?
Yeah, he could have kept on going if he wanted to.
Yeah, man.
Well, doggone it, if this elbow worked.
This elbow.
Dwayne, I love you, but
I know I enjoy your company as well, but if you had a chance to go down there, I'd root for you. But you know, I kind of like you here too.
well,
There you go.
wow. Gee, thanks.
Well, hey, you know.
Well, I'm going to tear up in the ninth with 2 outs.
Yeah, 9 to 2 outs here. Sammy fold up, and you know.
Yeah, well, okay,
It'll be,
here's Sam. Takes a strike.
You had him at buffoonery. I think that was back in the 7th inning. I think somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
I think so.
You're talking about both of us. How we doubled the buffoonery when you had me.
We better get to the post-game show here before anything else happens. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Unless the Rays, you know, going to pull off a miracle here.
A couple more bloops and a blast.
Yeah,
We'll take it.
that's right. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Sam Fold. Ground ball, and Oliver gloves it, flips to first, and that'll do it, folks. No runs, a hit, the man left. This game goes into the books, a 6-2 Toronto victory. Series even at a game apiece, and we'll be back with the totals in a moment.